The counselor's coming to talk with you today about a lot of important things, and we want to start out by saying congratulations. You're in fourth term of your senior year. You've been the leaders of our school for 3.75 years, and we're so proud of you and what you've made of our campus. So congratulations on that. We want to start out by saying make sure to continue that physical, mental, and social prowess that you've had all along by finishing strong. It's the single best thing you can do for whatever is next for you after you graduate. To finish strong personally, socially, and academically, and still continue to be our leaders. Many people are looking up to you, and you're our role models. So please let's let this year finish super strong. This is training, actually, for your next path. So make sure you're going into your next path, your best fit, with very, very strong academic finish. If you're still deciding on what is the right fit for you after you graduate, whether that's 2-year, 4-year community technical school, military, gap year, it's not too late. We want you to have a plan, and we want you to find the right thing for you to be happy and to continue to find your passion and to continue to be able to be finding that right career for you someday. So there are a lot of colleges, in fact, that are still accepting applications. There's this thing called rolling admissions where schools continue to accept students as long as they have seats and let you know as applications come in. In fact, there are local colleges listed on this PowerPoint that you could consider applying to, such as Normandale, Hennepin Tech, some of the state colleges that are in Minnesota, North Dakota State's still accepting, University of North Dakota, and more. So don't feel like it's too late if you haven't applied. It's all about you finding that right next fit for you to be able to continue with your passions, learn about yourself, and find that right career where you're going to be happy. We want each of you to have a plan, so you know that we're here to support you with that if you need some help with making some decisions. And speaking of decisions, some of you have some college admission decisions in front of you, and you might still be deciding on which one's the right fit. Give yourself some space and time to read those admissions decisions and be sensitive to other people with their process, and it's a personal journey for people to find their fit. So I think sometimes there's some disappointments with admissions decisions, but we know that wherever you go is meant to be, and it's not so much where you go next, it's what you do there. So if you're struggling right now with which schools to go to with admissions decisions, it might be helpful to get back on campus. There's nothing more that's going to tell you if that's a right fit for you than getting on campus and experiencing the sights, sounds, and smells of the school to know that that's going to be a home for you, whether it be for 2 years, 4 years, or beyond. So try to get back on campus. We also wanted to talk to you a little bit about your admissions decisions. Make sure you communicate with all of the schools that admitted you. If you have decided on a certain college, it makes sense to start the process to let them know that you're going there, and perhaps if housing is an option for four-year colleges, to get that straight. For those schools that you're deciding not to go to, it makes sense, whether it be by email or phone, to let them know that you are not going to that college, because there are some schools out there that have students on a wait list, and by you letting them know you're not attending, they can pull students off that wait list and have those students that have been waiting eagerly hear about their admissions decisions. So typically the national notification date is May 1st, so you have until May 1st ultimately to decide on which campus you're going to, and that's when you would want to be able to submit your deposit for housing if it's a four-year college. In addition, we encourage all of you to go back into Naviance under the colleges tab and under the colleges I'm applying to and put your admissions decisions in there. That's going to make your graduation process easier when we have you do a graduation survey, and it allows you to be able to kind of mark off which ones you've been accepted to, which ones ultimately you're going to, and it just creates some guidance tools for us as a school to help future students, of course, with your anonymity covered. Still thinking of how to pay for college? Well, that's another thing that's not too late. It's not too late to fill out the free application for federal student aid, and the link there is where you would go, fafsa.ed.gov. That is the first step that you would take to determine how much you're expected to pay no matter where you go to college, whether it's 2-year, 4-year community or technical school. By filling that out, each of those colleges get what's called your expected family contribution, and from there they can subtract their price tag of their college and let you know if you qualify for any state, federal, or institutional aid. So be sure to do that. In addition, check out your college's websites to see if there's any scholarships that they have that you can fill out. And check out Naviance. We are updating that weekly to put in scholarships that come about for you. If you go to the colleges tab, go down to the scholarship list, you can do a drop down that says senior and see scholarships that are just for seniors. You can also do a drop down that says local, which allows you to see a local pool of scholarships where it's a little bit less competitive instead of competing nationally for scholarships. In addition, we want you to compare your financial aid packages. We know when you're finding your right academic and social fit, it makes sense to also find your right financial fit. So compare your financial aid packages and talk as a family about how much free money you receive from state grants and scholarships, or federal state grants and scholarships, or institutional state grants and scholarships. You might have loans in there. So talk to your family and talk to your schools about if those loans are going to accrue right away for you, or if you're going to start paying it back after you graduate. And never hesitate to call the financial aid offices. If you're looking at your financial aid package and it doesn't seem doable for your family, they might be able to do something for you. The worst thing that will happen is that they can't do anything for you, but it does make sense to have a conversation with them to see if there's any additional monies that they might have that makes your admissions decision easier, especially when it comes to that financial fit. So never hesitate to call them. We are going to have a senior awards night for those of you who are receiving local scholarships, and for those of you who applied for the multi-scholarship. Many of those scholarships will remain a secret until you come to the awards night on May 18th. So the trick is, if you get invited, then you know you're receiving some sort of local scholarships. We will be honoring local recipients that night, and it's a great night, so if you get invited, congratulations ahead of time on that. We also wanted to make a note about reciprocity schools. For schools that are in North and South Dakota, Wisconsin, and Manitoba, you would be able to receive in-state tuition or close to in-state tuition at those colleges if you go to a public school. You do, with the exception of South Dakota, have to fill out an application for this reciprocity to happen. So you want to make sure you talk with your respective college about that, any of those public schools at those states, and fill out from the Minnesota Office of Higher Education website the appropriate paperwork to get your reciprocity application filed. We want you to start preparing for next year as well, whatever you're doing. Again, whether it's college, military, working, gap year, what have you, we want you to know that whatever you're doing, it's going to be different than now, clearly. If you are on the path to college, these are just some highlights about the differences between high school and college. Clearly, class time is going to be different when you're in college. You're not going to be in class every day from 7:50 to 2:35. It might be a couple days a week. Study time is going to be on you, being independent and scheduling that into your time. The rule of thumb typically is that you have 2 hours of study for each hour of class that you have. Tests are different. Here you might have tests and quizzes and daily work. In college, it might be a couple of tests per semester that determines your grades. And speaking of grades, a lot of times if you're wanting to go to upper level classes, they want you to have a C or better, but they're there to help you and to have you succeed in college. Teachers are different. Obviously, they're not going to be taking attendance and those sorts of things. You're going to be experiencing lectures, and depending on if you're at a big school or small school, you might have conversations and discussions, but you might also be taught at bigger schools by a teacher aide. They're going to challenge you to think and research and different things like that. And essentially, there's going to be more freedom. The bottom line is you are now adults, and you're going to be treated as such. So right now, we're mentioning these differences because this is really good practice for you to try things on your own, to really be independent, to really get into good habits for yourself in a physical, social, and academic sense. And something that might help you is a resource called College Nudging. I know it says Summer Nudging on this slide, but if you text college to this number, 651-243-9980, they're going to give you a lot of tips and strategies to kind of help you prepare over the summer, even giving you strategies on what to bring to college next year. So check it out. It's a really cool resource, and it's free, and it's something that will give you some ideas about how to stay in shape and get ready for next year academically. We wanted to make a special note about final transcripts. In order to register at most colleges and to for sure enroll in all colleges next year, you have to request a final transcript. This should be motivation enough for you to continue to do strong academically in your classes. In addition, you will have to request that in Student Center East and pay $3 by the end of the year before you leave. Many times as counselors, we get phone calls in the summer from colleges saying, hey, we need a transcript. We can't send it for you. You have to request it. So be proactive and make sure you request that before you leave at the end of the year. Finally, we wanted you to know that in May, we're going to be doing a senior survey for you on Naviance that's going to allow us to know your finalized plans. And there's going to be a cap and gown pickup and distribution in May as well. So there's some upcoming things going on before we ultimately get to the end of the year. The other thing to note that's super important is to continue to have fun and finish strong, as I've referenced more and more today. Continue to be our leader and role model, because again, you have to send final transcripts, and this is your training for whatever you're doing. We're going to see you at graduation on June 9th for sure at Mariucci. This particular slide is the end of last year and all the people celebrating down on the floor. This is going to be you. Visualize that, make that happen, and definitely know that we're here to support you. Thanks for taking some time with us today. Have a great day.